Hello, thank you for clicking this video today. I appreciate it. ADA is actually surging right now, and on top of that, the US government is actually, looking at creating bills that may promote cryptocurrency in the US, and there's one bill that actually makes Cardano stand out. For years, the US government has stifled innovation when it comes to cryptocurrency in America, and that is going to change, in my opinion. So if you guys do enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like, comment down below. Let's get this video out there in the algo so people can realize that Cardano may actually stand out in the future when it comes to US regulation. Leave a comment, like, all the usual stuff. Let's jump right in. To start off, ADA is surging. We're actually over 80 cents right now, and we were over 80 cents this morning. This is really exciting to see, considering we were just at 50 cents not too long ago, and we're up 23% on the weekly, which is amazing to see. And, I hope ADA keeps going up. Of course, there's going to be, downturns here and there, but it seems like we have some upward momentum here. Nothing's guaranteed in this world, but I'm going to take the wins when I see them, and we're definitely winning today. Hello, it's bigpey from the future here. I got a quick update for you guys. The Clarity Act, as of yesterday, passed the House of Representatives. It cleared the chamber with a bipartisan vote of 294 to 134. And then, a huge support from Republicans. And now it's going to the Senate. So, it still can get canceled there. But I do have some other good news for you. The Genius bill actually did pass yesterday. It was approved. And it's supposed to be signed into law by Trump today. The other one, the third bill, the centralized digital bank currency, has also done well, but it still needs to be approved by the Senate as well. So just a little update for you guys today. I've been seeing this post go around on Twitter. Shout out to Tap Tools, by the way. Great website, and they make a lot of good posts on X as well. So, just in, the Clarity Act now recognizes only 3 blockchains as likely mature under US standards: Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano. So I started looking into this. We see here in this list, we'll pull it up, Bitcoin, likely mature, fully decentralized POW, proof of work, fair distribution, no central control. Ethereum, likely mature, decentralized proof of stake with broad development and public token distribution. BNB chain, not mature. XRP, not mature. Whereas Cardano, likely mature. And, I believe this image is actually circulating from AI, right? Because I looked into the actual Clarity bill, and they don't list out specific cryptocurrencies within the bill. So what I think people are doing is they're taking the bill, and then they're, asking, ChatGPT or Grok, for example, to rate, with the details from the Clarity bill, which blockchains actually meet the criteria as decentralized, because you can get put in 2 buckets. You can still get put in the SEC bucket, which is, being regulated as a security, or you could be regulated by the commodities exchange, which a lot of people for many years have believed it's better to be regulated as a commodity than a security, based on the different disclosures that are offered there. And, I believe that there's been this narrative, at least lately in the past year in crypto, that decentralization doesn't really matter. There's been a big push towards, blockchains like, Sui or Solana, where they have a huge amount of throughput, but they kind of lack on that decentralization narrative. And it's because of the blockchain trilemma. I don't think it's been solved. You have to sacrifice security or decentralization if you want high throughput. Whereas Cardano has really tried to be the layer 1 that is the jack of all trades there. It has the security, it has the decentralization, but I believe it has sacrificed that throughput a little bit. Of course, there's new inventions coming in the future like Midgard or Leos that's going to increase that throughput without sacrificing decentralization. But that narrative has really, pushed a lot of people to Solana. These chains that have a very high amount of throughput. And if we read here, again, this is just an AI spitting this out. It's ultimately going to be up to the courts, I think, to decide whether these blockchains are decentralized or not, but not yet mature. Insider, heavy supply, and core development centralized under the Solana Foundation. So what is the Clarity Act actually looking at? One thing it's looking at is, the validators. Are the validators that are processing the transactions, is it decentralized? Is this happening everywhere, around the world? They're also looking at tokenomics. And here's another chart that you've probably seen before if you've been in the ADA community for a while. But the public, these are the initial allocations for public blockchains. And if you look here, the pink is the insiders. Look at Solana here. When you start out with this much insiders, it's really hard to come back from that. And I am sure that the tokenomics here are better today than they were back then. But when you start out with this much control, where do you think it's going to go? Whereas you look at Cardano here, 17% insider allocation, whereas the blue is the public sale. This is all of the ADA that's gone out to the community. And because Cardano has been around for so long, there's been a lot of sells, there's been a lot of buys, and the tokens have really been spread far and wide. And, Cardano, the past year, what has been the big focus, the big push? It's been on governance. It's been on decentralization, governing the treasury and the protocol parameters. And Cardano stands out among many other blockchains as one of the most decentralized blockchains in the world. And the only thing that could really compete with it, in my opinion, is Bitcoin and Ethereum. But I think that there's still some centralization there, at least with Ethereum, because there isn't too many parties deciding, what the next updates are. For example, we saw a tweet from Vitalik earlier this year where he mentioned that he could just fire and hire someone if he really wants to. And I do believe that Cardano stands out. So I pulled up Grok here and I asked it the same question, and likely considered decentralized based on the criteria. Bitcoin, yes. Ethereum, yes. Solana's borderline based on Grok, but it doesn't mention the cost to run a validator. A normal person really can't run a validator for Solana. You have to have a huge amount of money to actually pay for these servers. It also mentions Dogecoin and Polkadot and Shiba, but Cardano is a yes on this list. So it varies a little bit from this picture here shared by TapTools and many others. But I do like to see that the US government is considering decentralization, because that is the biggest value at the end of the day that cryptocurrency offers. It's decentralization. It's this permissionless network that we can all use and work with, without, worrying about some centralized actor. So this, in my opinion, if this bill passes, it could spell very big things for Cardano. However, you guys probably know how the US government works. When it comes to these bills, there's a lot of stuff in there. There's kind of many pages, and sometimes even though something positive may come from one of these bills, something negative may actually come from them as well, because they just fit so many line items in there in the back and forth that happens about the legislation that eventually comes in the United States. The Midnight news aspect, Midnight's been making some huge partnerships. We saw one with Brave. We also saw a new one today with Anchor. And I mentioned this to you guys, but I believe the airdrop is going to be coming the first week of August. That's at least what's in the air right now. And make sure you're careful. You're not going to see the airdrop go live. You're going to see a video on this channel. There's going to be 60 days for you to be able to claim this airdrop, so you don't have to rush in. You need to be very careful with what you do, because scammers are on the rise. They're always out there. They're always trying to, take some of your hard-earned assets. So be careful with any links you click, any wallets that you connect to. I wanted to put that out there. And then Anchor here, this new partnership is, has 350,000 followers on Twitter, and, they're building on 75 different networks. So to me, it seems like Midnight is really bringing a lot of new eyes in on Cardano, and stay tuned for more Midnight updates. The other thing I wanted to mention in this video is the last time a lot of people used ADA, Cardano didn't even have smart contracts. Wait till people try Cardano in 2025. They'll be amazed with what builders have been cooking. I firmly believe this. We've been building Âtrium, for almost 3 years now. So we were there in the very beginning of smart contracts, and they cost a huge amount of money to create. There wasn't tooling like the Mesh SDK or Lucid Evolution, and Cardano builders have been developing for years. They've built up a huge amount of momentum to know how to build on UTXO chains, which isn't found anywhere else. And that's what makes Cardano unique, is its design. It's not another EVM chain. And I think that the, determinism of Cardano a lot of banks and institutions, once they kind of get as far as you and I have in our education, they're going to start looking at Cardano. And then I also wanted to give a shout out to Cardano with Paul. He's making videos again. We did a live stream today that I'll link down below if you want to check it out. And this is actually a tweet from Trump. Love him or hate him, he is pushing these acts forward at least. I am in the Oval Office with 11 of the 12 congresswomen, and that's necessary to push the Genius Act forward. The other bill that's being pushed is essentially an centralized bank digital currency, which I've always kind of been scared of that coming in the future, this centralized bank digital currency. But they're pushing a bill. So hopefully that one passes as long as there isn't a bunch of extra BS in there. But let's see where it goes. We're launching Âtrium next Tuesday. It's been years in the making. We've developed a dashboard, an education portal with 26 motion graphic videos to teach all the new people that are coming into Cardano what is staking, what is Cardano, and all of that education lives directly in this dashboard here. So we're launching the dashboard next Tuesday. We're launching the education portal as well. And we're also launching a new smart contract that's never been seen before called SPOA. And it allows you to mint these profiles. And you can come in here, you can mint a profile. The smart contract verifies that no two names can ever be minted twice. You can send and receive using these profiles as well. So we can type in, at profile, we mint it. People will be able to send and receive to profiles. And then we can go down here to go to profile. I minted one with Paul earlier on a stream. So now that we're here, we can see you can connect your Twitter, you can connect your Discord, and you can start leveling up these profiles, and as you do so, you unlock new customization options. And the point of all of this is to drive. So we have the onboarding tool, we have the dashboard, we have the education, and our goal is to use these profiles to drive people to use the Cardano blockchain, engage with socials on Cardano, and also engage on Discord as well. And there's so much here. We're launching another smart contract called Staking Baskets next month. And then after that, we're going to launch another smart contract a couple of months after. So, Âtrium is an ecosystem, Atma is an ecosystem, and we're launching it all over the next few months. And we're going to keep developing and developing after that. And I don't want to kind of, spit out too much, but I would really appreciate it if you want to support this channel. Be there for Âtrium's launch next Tuesday on the 22nd of July. Get in here and mint a profile. They're not very expensive. Our goal is to onboard all of these new users and then use this profile ecosystem and this leveling system to drive on-chain activity, social activity, and drive people to the best projects on Cardano. You can almost think of Âtrium as an ecosystem map because we're going to have, all of the different projects, categorized. So when someone comes here, they'll be able to see their favorite projects. But I don't want to get too much into it. If you want to learn more about Âtrium, join the Discord server down below, and you can also support this channel by staking to Bloom. If you made it to the end, comment season 1 down below, or I'm excited for Âtrium. It's going to push this video out there further, and I appreciate you guys tuning in as always. It's been a long road to get this product out there, but we're finally here, and I think you guys are going to love it. I think the whole Cardano community is going to love it. It's a work of love by all of my team members. It's not just me building this. There's 7 people that have put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this app, and there's nothing else like it in the entire blockchain space, and there also isn't anything like it on Cardano. It's not another wallet. It's not another, dApp. It's really complicated. It's made for regular people. And I think you'll see that as soon as you use it. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Exciting times ahead, and I'll see you soon.